Russian ring closes round the 6th German Army at Stalingrad. The great liberation offensive bears down on 22 trapped Nazi divisions, representing 330,000 doomed men. The end of 163 days of siege. The history of warfare has never known such an encirclement and annihilation of so large a number of regular troops. Hundreds of thousands of bodies lie frozen in and around the city. Almost as many died of the appalling conditions of the last few weeks. They rot in the land which they wanted to enslave. Field Marshal Paulus's army has been eaten away by the Soviet forces, and now nothing remains of it. The twisted, disordered relics of an army committed to destruction by Adolf Hitler. Before the final surrender, the advance line of this legion of lost men was strung out across the open spaces, once the residential quarters of workers' settlements. General Rokossovsky, Marshal Voronov, and General Batov. Three names which will live in the immortal story of Stalingrad. Marshal Voronov, representative of the High Command, figured prominently in the dramatic capture of Paulus. Russian gunners firing point-blank over open sights at the remaining points of enemy resistance. Amazing pictures which show the final hours of fighting in Stalingrad as the last strongholds are silenced. Nazis lay down their arms. The voice of the Moscow commentator who described these official newsreel pictures to Russian audiences is heard telling how whole detachments gave themselves up when the end came. Commander of the 20th Romanian Division, Brigadier General Dimitriu, gave himself up with the whole of his staff. As the Russian commentator says, the German radio proclaimed to the world, German generals never surrender. 24 of them surrendered in Stalingrad.
Brigadier General Dimitriu.
A group of Nazi generals Dr. Goebbels forgot about. Commander of the 14th Tank Corps, Lieutenant General Schlemmer. Commander of the 297th Infantry Division, Major General von Treber. Commander of the Medical Corps, Lieutenant General Rinaldi. General von Daniel is brought to the Red Army headquarters of Lieutenant General Tobushina. Field Marshal Paulus, Supreme Commander of the German armies at Stalingrad, and his Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Schmidt, are brought to the Red Army headquarters for interrogation by Lieutenant General Shumilov. In December, Paulus gave the order, prisoners are not to be taken. Red Army men are to be killed. In January, he made another order. Germans may not surrender, otherwise their families in Germany will be shot. On the 31st of January, Paulus became a prisoner himself. Note throughout the nervous twitching of Paulus's right eye. Berlin propaganda made out that Paulus was captured seriously wounded, unconscious, even dead, that he always had 2 revolvers and some poison by him. As you see, he got into Soviet hands perfectly well, perfectly sane, and not having lost his memory. The German Field Marshal and his generals preferred to be alive as prisoners in the Soviet Union than to be glorified by the Nazi press. These ruthless killers could not break the indomitable will of the vulgar people. A never-ending procession of prisoners moves over the frozen ground towards the internment camps for the 22 defeated German divisions. Words are useless to describe the feeling of utter hopelessness which has taken hold of these wrecks of men. Abject misery follows the greatest military defeat the German army has ever suffered. Stalingrad has been liberated. The red banner flies over the town. The colossal battle is over. Its glory will live forever. A victory of fortitude, endurance, and bravery, which Premier Stalin recognizes in his order of the day, addressed to the Commander-in-Chief, Marshal Voronov, his officers and soldiers.